All right, hello everyone. My name is Moses Mua. I'm part of the translational science team at ECOG-ACRIN, and we'll be just talking a little bit about the sample tracking system, which is ECOG's way of tracking all their samples, logging all the samples, and some of the sample management that we do as well. So just a quick overview. Between January 1st, 2023 and December 1st, 2023, biobanks received and managed samples from 56 protocols, which totaled to about 36,510 samples and roughly about 11,787 cases. Most of these samples are stored at the biobank, also known as the CBPF, or referred to as the CBPF. They also scan and store slide images. I just put a little note here. Access to FedEx regarding shipping samples requires an account through the EA CBPF, and they can be reached out to. Their information is typically in section 10.2 of the protocol. The EA Translational Science team, also known as TST, we do is we assist sites as well as investigators with all queries and requests pertaining to samples from all protocols. So if you have any questions, if you have any issues with sample submissions, you can reach out to the TST team. And just a little note on the sample tracking system, as I mentioned earlier, or STS. It's an online application that's used for documenting and tracking all samples submitted on EA protocols. This was a fairly recent system that was implemented, and so some of the older ECOG trials don't have as much information on the sample tracking system. So you can access it going to the ecog.org website, and I'll just use the little laser here because I forgot to select this part, but this is the button that you'll use when you click on there and log in. Ken had mentioned it earlier as well, but that's where you click to go into the applications. So once you go into there, once you click and log in, it does require CTEP, an active CTEP account, and once you have that, then you can go ahead and log in. I know there was a question earlier about if you want to register an account, what do you need to do? You can also you can either reach out to the membership team or to the TST team, and we'll forward you the information, the links to create a CTEP account, and also instructions. So just a couple pointers referring to this site here. We're just going to focus specifically on the sample tracking system, which can be found in there, right there. And right there, this is the STS user guide. So it has step-by-step instructions for how to log samples in case you have any questions and any errors or issues you may run into. You can just go ahead and click and download there. It's a PDF, so it's and it also contains images, which is very easy to follow. Once you have clicked on the sample tracking system, just a note here is that there are two versions of the sample tracking system. One is for sites that are sending samples, and then the other one is for sites that are receiving samples. So we refer to it as site versus lab, since labs receive the samples. Up here in the top right corner, that's where you would go if you're a receiving lab. The next step here is view all shipments. You can click on that tab to view any shipments that have been submitted by your site. This kind of all in one page, but I just kind of split it up a little bit here. The next part, just make sure I know there are some people who are affiliated with multiple institutions. Make sure you are logged in and under the correct institution when logging samples. The next part is the protocol and patient ID. So you can enter your protocol and then patient ID here. It's specific, access is specific to institution, so depending on what protocol you enter in there, this will allow you to log the samples. And down at the bottom of that page, there is a view blank protocol submission schedule. This will allow you to view all of the samples that can be submitted on a specific protocol. You can just enter the protocol ID in there and look up what labs the samples are sent to, as well as what samples are available for distribution. Right. And once you have entered the protocol and the patient ID, you click the next button, it'll bring you to this page where you can see all the protocol information. Just make sure that you have the correct protocol and patient ID. If there's any other relevant information as well there, just want to make sure that's correct. You can also check the patient consent levels. And then here are the time points. One of the big issues that we have is incorrect time points being entered, so make sure that you review the time points and correlate them with what's in the protocol. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to the translational science team. This is shipment ID, so on this page you can see there's a shipment ID and you can always click that. That shows that a sample was already sent for the baseline, and you can click on that to view the sample information. Once you have selected the time point, on the next page, you can select the sample type that you want to submit. And then on the next box here is a can't submit. So if for whatever reason you can't submit a sample, say the patient didn't show up, or there was an issue with drawing the blood, etc., you can check that box there, and it'll open up a dialog window where you can enter in the comments regarding why that sample couldn't be submitted. This is very important. All samples should have either something submitted or can't submit. So when we run queries, if your site hasn't marked it as can't submit, we think that that sample is in a fridge or something somewhere, and that needs to be submitted. So, and then these are alternatives. This is typical for tissue. If you can't submit a block, you can submit slides, etc. And once you've selected the sample that you want to submit, and you go ahead and click Ship Selected Samples, bring you to the next page here, and this is the institutional surgical ID. This is typically it's only used for tissue submissions, and this refers to the site ID, so it's not the lab ID. And then enter collection date and time. This is important. You will not be able to submit samples unless you enter collection date and time. And then any comments related to the samples. You can go ahead and click Save Changes, or there's two other options here. There is Create New Shipment or Add to Existing Shipment. So there are some protocols where, say for example, with TMIST, some sites will have hundreds of patients, and so what we typically ask is for them to send in samples in batches of 80 cases. And so in this case, you can add a sample to an existing shipment until you hit 80 cases, and then you can go ahead and ship it. But in a lot of the smaller protocols, you can just go ahead and click Create New Shipment. And that's pretty much it. This is, again, the STS URL there, and then also the information for the translational science team. Reach out to us if you have any questions regarding samples, and we'll be happy to answer.